Hey everyone, how you doing today? It's me, David, Jersey Boy Music. We're here in the Beatles Corner. We're collecting the Beatles 101. And recently, I did a video on the Japanese album Beatles number 5. Mr. Pete Terry left a comment in the comment section of that video, wondering what the actual label on the record looked like. It was a issue from the 70s. Well, it was originally done in the 60s. It was on the Odeon label originally, undoubtedly on red vinyl, as first pressing Japanese albums were. And this was on the Apple label. I want to know what that Apple label looked like, and I didn't do that in the video. So, here in this video, I figured I would show you the different Apple record label variations from around the, well, not totally around the world, but from the albums that I do have. So here in the States, Japan, Germany, Australia, and some other, and then the updated ones as well. So let's take a close-up look video segment now. We're going to look at these record labels up close and personal, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. All right, so here you go. So this is the first version of the Apple label used here in the United States. A little darker than what I recall the later ones to be, but we'll check those out in a minute or two. So this is the Apple, like the green Apple side. Let's look at the flip. And here's the flip side, the cut side. And you'll notice in the rim, it has the Capitol Records subsidiary Indicia. And this was used, I believe, up until 71 or 72. But, and this Indicia is the same as what appeared on Apple, or not Apple, Capitol record labels of the same vintage. So let's take a look at something a little bit later on. So I want to say around 1971 or 1972, the whole United States Beatle catalog went on the Apple record label. And if you notice on the bottom here on side 1, manufactured by Apple Records, which of course were still manufactured by Capitol. But and this is a little bit lighter green Apple, a little drab in my opinion, a little washed out in person. Let's look at side 2. And there's side 2, obviously. No rim indicia whatsoever, and it just looks like a washed out label, kind of like what, at this point the Beatles are broken up, so it was maybe a little bit subconscious washout. But let's take a look now at some of the international variations. Okay, now we're off to Germany for their label variation on Apple, and as you can see, it's a little bit, or a lot bit different than what we got here in the States. Just to me, it just feels deluxe and nice. A little bit still washed out picture. It's a matte finish, not glossy, and the rim text is talking about it's Apple Records and it's their legal indicia. A little bit, in my opinion, cleaner than what we got here in the States. Let's flip over to side 2. And there's side 2. So, yeah, pretty neat. Nice, my opinion, easy to read. But if you look, I mean, just the way that the song listings are it kind of goes into that black area down at the bottom, but still pretty neat. So here you go, Pete Terry. Here's the pulled out the Beatles #5 album. This is from Japan. I do have a few Japanese pressing albums, and this is pretty typical of a Japanese Apple label. Same rim text indicia as on the German, but obviously the formatting is a little bit different. So let's flip it on over. There we are. Same issue as the German one, where that text overlays into the black and makes it a little hard to read, but it does not affect the playability of this fine album. Here's a little bonus before we get into the modern day. Here in the United States, Let It Be was issued on this label variation, red Apple label, which, just looking at it, they put a red wash over the regular Apple label. And this is that manufactured by Apple Records indicia. So obviously they went to this around 1970. And in the Run Out Groove, we got Phil and Ronnie as well. Let's flip over to side 2. And there you go, side 2. So that's an interesting variation. I believe is just exclusive to the American Let It Be album. We are going to move on to another country, come to think of it. So let's check it out. There you go, mate. We're heading down under to Australia or New Zealand. For the Essential Beatles, part of my very poor down under accent. But so you're probably getting the feeling or the sense of this, that these international Apple labels largely are the same, pretty much the same with the Apple Records indicia. This one made by EMI Australia in Sydney, New South Wales, but it looks like here in the States we were the odd ones out with a very basic Apple label on the records. Let's now, just for sake of completion, look at side 2. There you go, side 2. So, Australia. I do not have anything from the United Kingdom on an Apple Records label, but I do believe it's pretty similar to what they got around the world. Let's look at the modern reissues now. Okay, so this is the 2012 vinyl of the 2009 remaster of Abbey Road, but this is the vinyl from 2012, and as you can see, they keep it really a classic feel to what the original international label looked like. But in this case, it talks about the digital remaster, the copyright, and this was a pressing from Germany, press in Germany. So there is what we got for Abbey Road in 2012, and as well as, I would say, the White Album, Yellow Submarine, and Let It Be as well. Let's look at side 2. Side 2. I mean, typical side 2. You would think that maybe they would have put the title of the album a little bit lower. So it was in the white area. But it is what it is, right? Right. Okay, and we're going to bring it back and close it out with the White Album. This is the 2018 Anniversary Edition. And yes, the indicia has changed again, but still retains that international flavor. But this one shows it's a Capitol Records release and all that copyright stuff. And There you go. So if you have the White Album, this version of the White Album on vinyl, you'll be familiar with it. Let's take a look at the flip side. There's the flip side. And that same problem, right? Bring it down a little bit. That print. Maybe center it so it doesn't go into that black area. There we are. So there you are. The Apple record labels from various parts of the world over the years. And as I mentioned in that video, what we got here in the States, I always thought was kind of boring and didn't really like it. But then seeing some of the variations from those other countries, yeah, I feel a little gypped. But on the other hand, we got a very basic version of that Apple label. So there you go. And then also a lot of these pressings are just the sound quality is different from around the world, and even the different pressings from those countries sound different to my ears. But that's half the fun of collecting, right? Is getting those label variations. So there you are, Mr. Pete Terry. I hope that helps you and that kind of satisfied your desire for some of those to see what they look like. Anywho, yeah. So there you are. Until next time, it's me, David, coming to you from the Beals Corner. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again.